Hey guys, my name is Amir and welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another video. And as you've probably seen by the title below, we're going to be talking about the National MDCAT. So in this video, I have a very special guest on board. I'm going to be asking her everything there is about the MDCAT, the bio, chem, physics, what to do, what not to do, sab kuch I'm going to ask her about it. And hopefully you guys learn a lot. So this is part 1 of this MDCAT series, and hopefully inshallah I'm going to be making another video with another person from a different city, so there's 2 different perspectives. So yeah, hope you enjoy and let's continue with the video. Today I'm joined with Nimrah. So Nimrah, can you please introduce yourself?
Sure. Hello guys, Assalamu alaikum. My name is Premedical. You might know me from my Instagram blog at Nimrah Writes. So I am from Karachi. I am a first year medical student at Dow Medical College. I graduated from Aga Khan Higher Secondary School through the Aga Khan University Examination Board. And I also got into AKU, but I chose Dow over AKU.
So that's interesting. So you are from Karachi and you did the Aga Khan Education Board. You studied the AKU EB board. All right. So let's begin with the questions. The first thing I wanted to really talk about is the national MDCAT. So 2018 tak it was provincial, and I think everybody knows that. 2019 onwards, so your batch and the batch who is taking the MCAT this year, so your batch onwards, it became the national MDCAT. So there was a unified syllabus, but I think in your year when you took the MDCAT, there were quite a lot of issues about out of syllabus questions. Do you want to talk about that?
It was a unified syllabus. There were so many reductions in the syllabus last year as well. And even though we were supposed to have like a uniformity in the exam, we didn't. And they told us that we'll get this sheet after the examination. Yeah, questionnaire, and we didn't get it.
Yeah, so I remember I think पिछले साल from the students of SIN claimed up to like 44 questions were out of the syllabus, which is a lot. So let's move on to this year's structure. This year there is going to be 210 MCQs. It is 3.5 hours long. There's 68 bio questions, 56 chemistry, 56 physics, and 20 English questions. And something which is new to the MCAT, there is 10 logical reasoning questions. So yeah, there is no negative marking in the MCAT, and the passing percentage is 65%. You do have to pass. Matlab, if you fail the MCAT, you do not get to apply to your university. So Nimrah, let's move on to the subject, because I think that's the most important thing about this discussion. So let's first begin with biology. Biology, in my opinion, I find biology the easiest subject. What book did you use? What note did you use? And do you have any resources you can recommend?
Okay, so firstly, my bio preparation was quite good because I was studying in the Aga Khan University Examination Board. Basically, we read all the 3 books, combination of all the 3 books, since we don't have an official book recommended by AKU themselves. Yeah. So I had already read Punjab textbook for my board exams, and SIN textbook partially. Like some topics from SIN textbook are recommended to be read for AKU examinations. So these books I was quite familiar with, but after there was the federal textbook, and it was quite new for me. Even though some of my batchmates did use it for their AKU board preparation, I didn't. And I just read it in the last, I guess, 2 weeks after PMC launched its new syllabus. So my sole focus for the last 3 weeks was federal textbooks. And yeah.
All right. So yeah. So you mentioned you had your AKU test first. You prepped for your AKU test, and then you took your national MDCAT. I think the federal book is the best way to go, especially for like biology. Okay, let's move on to chemistry. I think it's pretty much the same with all the science subjects, but what did you do for chemistry?
National Book Foundation. Like it is my favorite. Even for AKU prep, I didn't use the Punjab textbook. Like I went through it, skimmed through it once for the tables or like for some chapters specifically, since I already had the book for my AQEB board prep. But for NMDCAT, I solely did it from National Book Foundation, and I think it's more than a button. It's just.
All right, that makes that's. Is there a reason why you did not do SIN board books?
Okay, so for SIN board books, like they aren't really recommended for AKU tests, as you might know. People usually prefer Punjab textbook because they are like most related to the AKU EB syllabus and hence the AKU syllabus. So that's why I didn't choose SIN textbook, because they were kind of low yield for AKU exam, and there's a lot of extra portion of syllabus that is not put in the AKU test syllabus.
Yeah. All right, that makes sense. And what about physics? Books, notes, and resources, is it the same?
No, for physics, I preferred Punjab textbook solely. Like there was no other book. Even though I opened for the SIN MDCAT that was supposed to take place, I opened SIN physics book, but it was like so uninteresting. I closed it.
So let's summarize the three sciences. So biology mein you primarily initially did everything else, like in aakhir mein you eventually moved on to the federal books. The same with chemistry. I think chemistry mein day one so you did federal books.
Yes.
And then for physics you did Punjab instead of on the federal book. Why is that? Why didn't you do federal for?
There is no federal book for physics, I think.
Oh yeah.
There is the KPK board book, which federal students use themselves.
I think we're done with the three sciences, the main big important questions. And okay, let's move on to the English section. So sometimes the questions in English are super hard. The synonyms and the antonyms and the similar words and all those, they make it super hard, especially the grammar ones. So in that case, I find it hard, but otherwise, I don't think I ever studied for English. What about you, Nimrah? Did you study for English?
I didn't study for English, like not for an MDCAT, and there was no English portion in the AKU test. So yeah. But there is an advice I'd like you guys to follow, that for English always look at the options and they will tell you the exact correct answer. There is no need to study all those books. There are books, they are very lengthier books on English, but I'm pretty sure you cannot retain it. If we are talking about disabilities, you cannot retain all the synonyms and antonyms provided in those books. Right? So like I did read the PMC word list once for the words I didn't know. So there were some words I come across that I didn't know the meaning of, so I went through it and it was enough. There were some words from that list that came, so yeah, I was done with English that way.
So is there a list this year as well? I don't recall. I remember last year there was a list. Which list I'll have this year, I'm not too sure. Like, and you guys probably can look it up in the PMC website. So yeah. So lastly, there's something new, logical reasoning. It is something that has been coming in the AQ test since years, but for the first time, this topic has come in the MDCAT. So I frankly don't know much about the logical reasoning, and I think Nimrah can talk quite a lot about it. So if you want to add.
So the portion for logical reasoning, it's, to be honest, it's like you have to use your brain at that time only. You cannot prepare it for it somehow before the exam. So make sure that it's the portion you give your most attention to. Even though there are like 10 questions, it would not take much of your time. Other than that, we do have, I mentioned this to Amir, that we do have MedAngle question bank for logical reasoning. There are 200 plus questions, and the resources were very related to NMDCAT, PMC syllabus, in which they provided the logical reasoning question. So make sure that you solve those questions. They will definitely help.
All right.
Yeah.
So for English, let's just summarize the two. English ke liye, if there's a list this year, go through the list. You shouldn't study too much for English because it's impossible studying all those questions. There is only 20 MCQs for English. Logical reasoning, like Nimrah said, MedAngle has an amazing, I think, question bank this year for the logical reasoning section. So you guys can, I think we're going to link it down below. So you guys can probably check it out over there. So we've talked a lot about the 5 different subjects. I think this time now we can move on to the more general questions, the broad questions for the MDCAT. So in your case, which question bank did you use? I think there are, like in my case, when I took the MDCAT, it was provincial MDCAT, so I used Dow Grad. But the Dow Grad books were Sin MDCAT, and I think they've become outdated in this era. So do you have any recommendations, or do you want to share what you used?
So firstly, for AKU test syllabus, I used my NESUSEN AKU books,
Okay.
and they were like quite relative to the Punjab textbooks, right? So that was my preparation for the AKU tests. And since AKU tests have another, more conceptual questions, you don't really need to go through each of the details in the book, and rather just go through the information ones. But for NMDCAT, I was like quite busy reading the federal textbook, as I told you guys that I read it in the last 3 weeks. So that was quite some reading. I had to power skim through the whole books, first year and second year. But I did practice it from different resources like the NESUSEN's like MDCAT question bank, but not a lot because it was synth related. But the second resource I used was NUMS past papers. So if you guys get your hands on those, make sure that you practice it.
Okay, so let's move on to like the next discussion point. You mentioned you went to NESUSEN. Would you recommend it? Would you not? Would you recommend going to coaching? And considering Abito, there's less than a month left to the MDCAT. At this point, would you recommend students sign up to an online resource such as perhaps MedAngle, such as perhaps Near-Peer? There's a lot of different organizations that are providing not only questions, but also tutoring service. So would you recommend coaching and or these services?
Not at this moment. I definitely recommended an NESUSEN for the initial preparation before boards, before an MDCAT. This time is solely for self-study. I would say that
and just doing MCQs.
Invest your time. Yeah, so, MCQs and self-study is the way to go. I do not recommend joining any organization at this point. Maybe you can join a question bank. Like you need practicing at this point. You need to manage your time according to the PMC curriculum. And so for that, you might need a question bank. So you can use MedAngle. If you have any other, like I said, NUMS past paper, etc., which are also available on MedAngle, you can use them as well. But don't invest your time or money into a coaching center right now. It probably won't work.
I think it's at this point, question. Yeah. Do you have any recommendations at this point, considering there's only less than a month left?
Okay, so since I already said that this is a self-study time, and as Amir said that you will probably be done with especially your second year, since you guys had your or the other boards who will have their boards, so you guys have to be done with the A2 syllabus or FSC Part 2 syllabus. So at this point, I would probably be revising my FSC Part 2 syllabus, and since I have just given the papers, I would have all of these things active in my memory. So it's just better to go through all of your FSC stuff first, Part 2 stuff first, then go to your first year. You have to do all these chapters, divide your chapters each day, and then make sure you are practicing एक साथ. Like एक दिन में एक chapter करो, 2-3 चैप्टर या अगर एक साथ करने हैं तो वो करो और फिर उनकी प्रैक्टिस भी उसी दिन में करो, so you are sure that you are strong, you have strong concepts in that chapter. And as I said, it depends on your date. If you have initial dates, you have to do like a bulk of syllabus first, एक साथ करो. And if you have like last dates, so make sure that you are done with all your syllabus till 31st August, and then you are just revising.
Yeah, so and I think we can now move on to like the next discussion point. I always mention this at the end of every MCAT video I've made. Is saal there is no negative marking, so no matter what, you do not leave a question. Matlab, even if you are lost, if you have 5 minutes left, 2 minutes left, and if you have 20 MCQs left, do whatever pattern you want, you have to fill it. And since it's online, since you're going to be using a computer mouse, probably it's going to be very easy, just ticking. Whereas hamare zamane mein, we have to circle properly on the OMR sheet. You have to attempt each and every MCQs, no matter what. You do not leave the MCQs blank. And another tip I would have is don't study the day before the MDCAT. Stay hydrated. Have a toffee or have a sliced juice in your with you. Ask PMC. I'm not too sure whether you can take a rough paper with you. I think they will allow, or they will provide a rough paper and pen and pencil for rough calculations. So Nimrah, do you have any tips and tricks for the students?
Sure. Like firstly, I'll tell you guys, keep yourself mentally aware, and should not be scared of all the technicalities that might appear and will probably appear. Allah na kare, lekin it's PMC, it's Pakistan, everything is possible. So just that. And also, if you have like don't try to change your date, guys. The date you are allotted, it will prove to be the best for you, inshallah. So even if you have like other outside doubts are don't do that. Don't try to change your date. I think शायद 1st September पे जा रही है लोगों की डेट जो कि चेंज करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं. So just be happy with what you have. Yeah. So I heard that. I'm not sure though.
Okay.
लेकिन
yeah. So
उसके अलावा
yeah. What else?
Yeah. So if you have like any confidence issues होते हैं probably. So always solve mock tests before you go. At least do 2 to 3 mock tests. And like I should tell you guys about MedAngle. MedAngle is a platform which has mock tests, and it is also going to provide a timed test. So basically, you can create your mock test anywhere from the topics you choose. So that's an amazing opportunity for you guys to practice your time management skills.
Okay.
And implement that knowledge that you guys have. Other than that, बस अपने आप को जैसे आमिर ने कहा, keep yourself hydrated, try to be chill the day before the exam, don't overburden yourself, and just stay confident. Exactly. Like at that moment when you have your exam in front of you, just stay confident in your knowledge and don't overthink. Overthinking is the right. So yeah, I'm done.
Agreed, totally agree. So yeah, one last thing I would like to talk is how whether we talked about biochem physics from Federal, Punjab, whatever. Eventually, whether you study the mitochondria or respiration, whether you study it from the Punjab board or the Federal board or the Sindh board or your A levels or your SATs or whatever IB, wherever you're from, it's the same thing. Respiration is respiration. There's a little bit plus and minus. Like there are some students who panic because, I'm from Sindh and this time the question is going to be from Federal. Yes, that is the case. Like if your concepts are clear, if you know what you should know, then it shouldn't be a big issue. You should be able to work it out. So so I think that's the last thing I can say. So Nimrah, thank you for being on this video. It was very informative, and I think I learned quite a lot. So yeah, that was the end of the video, and I really hope you liked it, and I really hope you learned something from it. So make sure you like it, make sure you share it with someone who's taking it this year or who might be taking it next year or in the upcoming future. And make sure you subscribe to the channel for content like this. So special thanks to Nimrah once again, and I will make sure I have her Instagram link down below. I'll have everything we talked about linked down below in the description. And yeah, thank you for watching.